thanks for everybody for joining us today. Very excited to have Ken Eagle on the line with us today to review Atlona and some of the commercial solutions. And with that, I'll turn it over to Ken. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Bill. Good morning, everyone, if it's morning for you anyway. Happy to be here. Thank you for taking time. Two things I kind of want to try to accomplish on the webinar today. One, I want to review some of the Atlona conference room solutions so we can see what some of those look like. But before we get to that, I want to take a little time to talk about how to position the Atlona brand for these conference room type of sales. Knowing what products go in the conference room solution is important, but knowing how to package Atlona and pitch that is just as important. So we'll spend a little bit of equal time on both of those. One of the things I wanted to bring up, I know a lot of you guys have been dealing with Atlona for a lot of years, and thank you for your business. Over the years, Atlona has been maybe viewed as a company that provides a lot of components to an AV solution. For example, we make great extenders. It's a good place to get audio converters. It's a great place for an adapter or a cable or some type of a component that you use into a larger solution that you're building. And over the past few years, we've been really working hard to kind of change our business model and what we offer. And today we're not just a company that offers AV components, but we're a company that offers a complete solution. In fact, let me switch slides here. I'm sure you're all familiar with the toy Legos. And if you look at this image on the left, this pile of Lego blocks, that represents a lot of companies in our industry and a lot of who Atlona was for a lot of years. We had a lot of pieces and components that would help you complete a nice solution. But today, we're really better represented by the Lego image on the right. We have a lot of components that you can use to build the complete solution. So if you wanted to travel in a Lego spaceship through space, you'd want to build that whole piece together, and you could look to Atlona to build that with. And you'll see as we go through some of these solutions, not only does Atlona provide that solution, but ultimately you're going to want attachment sales to that solution in products that Atlona doesn't manufacture. And that's where AllNet provides a wonderful experience for anybody who wants to provide the complete solution, because they're a great one-stop shop and a great partner for Atlona. So what's the message behind Atlona? So the first thing to know is that we feel we are a quality and support leader in the industry. We offer a 10-year manufacturer's warranty across the board on all of our products. That's unprecedented. There's not another manufacturer in the industry that does that. We have 365-day tech support availability. And don't forget, with that 10-year manufacturer's warranty, you have overnight advanced replacement on products within the first year of that product as well. And also, don't discount Atlona Academy. If you haven't been there, write this down, atlonaacademy.com. Check out the site. You've got hours of free training and certification programs that you have access to. Second point, Atlona is a leading...
Can I just make a quick point? I just want to punctuate that. We've taken it upon ourselves. Everybody in our organization has been through the Atlona University, is at least 100 to 200 certified, and have gone through the new modules on OmniStream. And I can't stress enough how much more informed you'll come away from this whole category going through that training. Ken, you've done a great job, and I can't thank you enough. You've really helped us become experts in this category. So, thank you.
Sure. Thanks for the feedback and for your whole organization committing to that. Thank you. So point number two, Atlona is a leading innovative AV solutions provider, and not just with HDVS and HDMI, where we've started and have been a proponent and a leader right from the beginning, but even in new programs like networked AV solutions through our OmniStream program, through a new software cloud-based control program called Velocity that I'll highlight in a little bit that we're releasing this year as well. So some really cool new exciting things coming out to be aware of. And third, this is a big key for Atlona. We're a leader in the light commercial product space. And I know the question is, what is light commercial? That's what we're going to talk about today. It's a lot of these conference room solutions that we're talking about It's a unique category, and it's one that fits Atlona actually very well. In fact, it's our largest growth category as a company right now. So let's break that down and look at it a little bit. When I say light commercial, what am I talking about here? It's the most, first of all, it's the most common kind of application. That is a single display application in a corporate or an education type of environment. Yes, there are lots of different types of really cool projects out there, but single display rooms are by far the most common. And sometimes it's not just a single display. It might be two displays. It might be a display and a conference monitor. It might be a split room that sometimes with a divisible wall. Sometimes it's one room, sometimes it's two. And oftentimes you'll see somewhere between 1 to 6 sources in these rooms with audio and some basic level of control. So what do these rooms look like? They may look like this, a small lecture room, small lecture space with the presenter. Oftentimes, the presenter changes hourly or daily. So again, you need a very simple room to operate because there's a different person using the space every time it's turned on. It's medium-sized conference rooms where we've got more than 6 participants and sometimes more than one presenter in the room. It's even more complicated spaces like a training space where oftentimes I will have more than one display, I will have multiple sources, and usually I'm going to have more than one presenter because I'm probably going to have an audience in here who is going to need to share and present their information to the class as well. Then it's smaller, more personal conference spaces, maybe 6 or fewer participants who are sharing ideas and possibly, again, more than one presenter. And it's unique spaces like this where I've got more than one screen, and this is most likely a two-way or a video conferencing application or even a distance learning application. So we're going to look at some solutions from Atlona that fit these types of rooms, this space that we call light commercial. Now there are a couple of questions I like to ask when I'm looking at these kind of applications, and they look like this. Number one, in a solution like this, how much would you like to pay for this? Number two, what's the size of the installation team that you want to send out to install this solution? Number three, what percentage of this installation should be driven by a control system? And number four, after you've installed this solution, how much time would you like to spend supporting it? And the answer is the same for every one of these questions. The answer is as little as possible. Right, let me go back a slide and let's explain. How much would you like to pay for this solution? Answer, as little as possible. How many guys would you like to send out to the job site to install this? As little as possible. What percentage of the installation cost should be the control system? As little as possible. Now don't get me wrong, there's certainly a model for expensive, large control system applications where you're going to spend a lot of time and money on that. But in the images I just showed you, these light commercial applications, that's not the case. We want simple, easy, so that those presenters using the room have easy access to it, know how to use it, and the installers can easily install it and support it. And finally, how much time do you want to spend supporting the application? Hopefully as little as possible. Hopefully you're also building in some kind of maintenance contracts for your customer as well. All right, now with each of these light commercial applications, there are some common features across the board in every one of these solutions. The first one being automatic display control. You may sometimes see this referred to as ADC for short. Automatic display control means that the core Atlona system will be responsible for turning on and off the display for the presenter. In other words, the presenter, when they first come into a room, they don't need to look for an on switch or find a remote control to get the system up and running. What they need to do is just plug in their source. Let's assume it's a laptop. They're going to plug in an HDMI or a VGA cable, or in some cases, wireless. I'm going to show you a wireless application in just a little bit. And once the Atlona system recognizes the presence of a live signal, it's going to automatically send a command to the display, turn that on along with any audio or other triggers, 12-volt triggers that are tied to the system, lighting, shades, a motorized screen, etc. That's going to turn that on, system's ready to go, presenter's doing a presentation. And when they're all done, automatic display control is going to shut it all down for them as well as soon as they disconnect. Now, the installer will simply set a timeout value in the Atlona system saying, once there's no live signal present for X amount of time, turn everything off. Presenter's done, they just disconnect and they walk out. The second key feature is called automatic input selection, or auto switching for short. In this situation, what happens is, let's say I'm the presenter in the room and I'm showing content from my laptop, and I want to switch to somebody across the table from me so they can begin showing something from their laptop. In a conventional world, I would need to find a button and switch, or plug something in and press a button, or find a remote control. With auto switching, the Atlona system will simply sense that a new device has been connected. So presenter 2, they grab the second HDMI cable or VGA cable, they connect their source, the system will automatically switch to them they're presenting. When they disconnect, it automatically switches back to me. That's auto switching. Now, when these two features work in combination, you get this effect. So I walk into a room, there happens to be an HDVS product on the table. As a presenter, I connect my HDMI cable, system turns on, and it starts presenting. And there's a scaler built into the Atlona system, so it's automatically going to match up the resolution of my laptop with the native resolution of the display, so everything looks real good. Presenter number 2 connects, it automatically switches to their source. Presenter number 3 connects, they're presenting, and as each person disconnects down to the last person, the system will switch back sources until the last person disconnects and it shuts off. That's a completely hands-off approach, simple programming using common Atlona features. It keeps costs low, it makes usability high for the end user, and so there's a great rate of success with that. Certainly you can turn these features off and you can use a control system if you want, but these are built in by default with all Atlona systems. The next key feature across all of these products is having simple volume control. With all of our products, you'll have a volume control button right on the front, or you can use a handheld remote, or you can even use a keypad like you see in the lower right corner there. The idea here is that a presenter can simply control volume in the room, making it very easy to adjust on the fly. This volume can be set up to control line level out of the Atlona box. It can be set up to control a third-party amplifier in the room. Or let's say you've got a display with speakers built in hanging on the wall. These buttons can be set up to control those speakers on the display, making it really easy again for the presenter to control volume. And the final component here, and I feel perhaps the most important component, is that of interoperability. Now this slide is just a sample. It's not all of the Atlona products, but just to give you an idea, when designing a system, we built in interoperability across the board. You don't just select one product for an Atlona AV solution. You can mix and match lots of products to build any type of solution that you need to meet your customer's needs. Here's how it works. I've got the products laid out in columns here. The first column being inputs, the second core system pieces, the third outputs, and the fourth control. So if I'm designing a room and I need a special kind of input, something at the table, or a wall plate, or multiple inputs for different presenting locations, I can choose any input. These all connect to a core system in column 2 via a category cable, and they're all powered via power over PoE from that core system over that single Ethernet cable. From column 3, I'm going to choose the output I want, whether it's an HD-based receiver, an audio scaler, an audio de-embedding device, or an audio amplifier. Match that up with my system, and in the fourth column, I'm going to choose the method of control I want. Now, I could use one of the control features built in, like ADC or AIS, or I could choose to use a simple 8-button keypad, or some of the Atlona software built into a mobile device or a tablet, and use that to easily control the room. So you can mix and match these components to create a lot of different sized and featured applications for your customers. Now, this can look a little bit daunting at first. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of pieces here. How do we get this just right? Not a problem. There's lots of ways to do that. Number one, the AllNet staff are experts at these products. They can design pretty much anything using the Atlona products. On top of that, if you call into, I'll put this information up on the last slide. You call into our main line and press option 3, you go right to our inside sales design staff, and they will help design it and answer any questions on these products you need as well. So there's lots of ways to figure that out. So the next big category for Atlona is that of networked AV. We've launched a new product series called OmniStream. This features encoders and decoders that transmit audio-video signals over standard Ethernet connectivity, over Ethernet gigabit connections. Now, keep in mind, these fit into that interoperability chart as well. And here's what I mean. Let's say you're designing a corporate or even a campus application where you've got multiple different rooms that you've designed and built presentation systems. Today, those systems essentially are standalone. What's in the sources and the system that's in presentation room 1 are independent from those in presentation room 2. However, let's say there's a unique source in presentation room 1 and you'd like to share that source with rooms 2, 3, 4, 5. How could you do that? Well, you can use networked AV encoders and decoders to capture the source from any one of these rooms, and now via the Ethernet, the gigabit network built in, you can send that AV signal to any room you want, and vice versa, in any virtual matrix combination you want. You can begin sharing sources. This is a great way to increase functionality for your customer. It can also be a great way to lower cost for your customer as well, because especially if you've got a box, maybe even something that's a subscription service in one room, you can now easily share that across multiple rooms using networked AV. A lot of cool ideas you can do there. All right, so that's a little bit of how to pitch Atlona, how to position us, where our products fall, and how you can mix and match to create solutions. Now let's take a look at some of the products that build some of these solutions. And I want to start with HDVS because this one's been in our line the longest. There's multiple variations of this product, and it's really our most sold solution in this category. You're looking at the HDVS 200 slide. Now I just brought this up to kind of show you the concept. HDVS is a transmitter and receiver pair using HD-base-T. You have 2 types of transmitters, the box version like you see on the screen here. There's also a wall plate version. And then you match that up with a receiver. So the transmitter is where a presenter plugs in. They've got HDMI, VGA, and analog audio connections there, volume control, and some basic buttons to control things like input in the display. And then there's always a receiver, and these 2 are connected over a single category cable up to 100 meters or 328 feet of distance between them. And the receiver has a scaler built into it, so we can scale any resolution up to 1920 by 1200. You've got RS-232 control, audio de-embedding right there, so you can take local room audio out to an amplifier, a pair of speakers in the room. You've got Ethernet control built into these devices, easy firmware update. So a lot of really cool, easy to use features with these. Now, you're seeing the HDVS 200, but keep in mind, this starts with our HDVS Classic. We have an HDVS 150, this 200, and a 300, which I'll show you in just a moment. And on top of that, there's multiple other ways to configure and use the HDVS products. Sometimes in an HDVS system, the transmitter connects back to one of our core switchers rather than to a small receiver like you see here. Sometimes the small receiver can be used coming off of a large switcher so that you can scale output resolution. So keep in mind, you don't have to just use these 2 as a solution. You can mix them with other product solutions as well. Something to keep in mind, especially when you're selling this product, HDVS is the #1 sold Atlona SKU of all time. That's a key selling feature, especially if you have customers who maybe haven't heard of the Atlona brand and they're wondering, should we really go with Atlona? Look, this product is everywhere. It's tested. It's been tried. We have lots of case studies and reviews of users who use this in all kinds of different applications. Love this product. Our competitors have all come out with a similar product because they've seen how well this product is done in the market. Some other places to consider, I guess some other ways to consider selling HDVS. One of the things I like to always mention about this product, because I've seen some of our different partners globally actually have great success with it, and that is with the HDVS, I would recommend buying these in multiple units. They're not very expensive. This is really a low-cost solution with high functionality. Yes, you can use it in an executive meeting space like you see right here. It's perfect for a room. You can design it in. You can buy an extender receiver, transmitter receiver, put it in, you're done. But because this product is so easy to install and low cost, high value, it's worth keeping a couple of these on your installation truck. Right? Because if you are in a building and you're doing an installation in an executive meeting space like this, what are you going to see? Chances are if you're walking around that room, you're going to see an executive hallway with a couple of offices in there. And somebody's sitting behind a nice desk and they've got a computer. And generally, across that room, there's a small table with something like a 24 to 40-inch display hanging on the wall beside it with several different cables hanging down the back of it. Looks kind of ugly, but the executive in the room can bring a couple people into his or her office, do a quick presentation, and plug in. If you see that, if you're an installer and you see that, right there on the spot, you can pitch to that person, hey, for an extra 2 hours of work, I can install this low-cost solution, give you control, give you automatic display control, give you automatic input selection, give you simple volume control, clean up this wiring mess using a single category cable, and I've got this on my truck right now. I can install it today. It's a great fix. It's an easy solution, and I've got tons of partners who do that today. So it's a great way to sell and pitch the HDVS. Now, this is a room I'm sure many of you have seen. I see this room everywhere I go. This room is set up for a small conference today, but tomorrow this room is set up for a local Boy Scouts meeting, and on Saturday this room is set up for a wedding. This is a multi-purpose room, and this room changes space all the time. It may not always be a conference solution like you see right here, but this is another great type of application for something like the HDVS. The reason is the HDVS disappears. The receiver mounts up at the projector or behind a flat panel. The transmitter fits into a floor box or into a wall outlet. You don't have to see it. To the business owner, this is hands-off. And when a presenter walks into the room, once they plug in to this solution, everything turns on. They present, they disconnect, everything turns off. So when you've got multi-purpose rooms like this, even if they're different configurations of conference applications, HDVS or HDVS paired with one of our larger switchers becomes a great solution. Another very, very common application is the Huddle space, where you see in corporate environments these several small rooms like what you have in the image here. These are typically small informal spaces that you generally don't have to schedule. If they're open, you pop in, you sit down, you meet for 20 minutes. There's a way in there to display and share your information with one or more people, and then you're out. So HDVS is another great application in this type of environment as well. Now, another product, another solution that I think is worth noting is the SC500. Now, this is just like the HDVS. Remember, the HDVS I just showed you has two components, a transmitter and receiver. That's because we're assuming the presenter is, 20 feet or more away from where the display is going to be. So we need that run over category cable to bridge the gap. In a very small space, like you see right here, I don't necessarily need a transmitter and a receiver. I could just have one box with a single HDMI cable out to the display. That's what the SC500 is. Again, this is half the price, a very low-cost solution, but it still has two HDMI inputs, a VGA input, analog audio input, volume control. It has automatic display control, automatic input selection. It's got a RS-232, audio breakout, and a scaler built into it. Again, scales up to 1920 by 1200. So here's a very low-cost solution that's great for a small gathering space. Additionally, another way to use this product is, let's say you've got a customer who has 4 displays, and they want you to send, a satellite feed out to these 4 displays. However, and they've provided displays. They're already there. They don't want to purchase new ones. But one of the displays happens to be an older 720p model. In that application, your source is going to default to 720p, and even all your high-def TVs are going to get a 720p signal now. But if you use the SC500, this is small. You can mount it right behind the 720p panel and scale the 1080p resolution down to 720p just for that one display, while all the other 3 displays get the full 1080p resolution signal. Problem solved, low-cost solution. All right, and the final product in the HDVS solution category is the HDVS 300. This was designed for soft codec integration. This is that room where I'm doing some video conferencing. We see this more and more today. And traditionally, video conferencing has been solved with an appliance, a codec that sits in the room, a physical hardware box that has this codec in it. And these are quite expensive. They work well, but they're expensive. And what we found today is that more and more people are not using this hard codec. Instead, they're using the soft codec that's on their laptop, like Skype or GoToMeeting or WebEx like we're using today. And they're doing these business conferences this way. That's great. That's the way of business today. The problem with that type of scenario is if I walk into a room with 5 other people and we're going to have a Skype session with somebody in California, the problem is that Skype is on my laptop and it's my personal conversation. It's very difficult for the other 5 people in the room to interact with my Skype session. So what our new product, the HDVS 300, does is it allows other people in the room to interact and become part of that Skype presentation with me. And here's how it works. Again, it is a transmitter and a receiver. The transmitter is the larger box on the left. It sits at the conference room table, and it offers inputs, connectivity inputs for HDMI, DisplayPort, VGA, and analog audio. In addition to that, it also offers USB inputs. And then the receiver, which is the smaller box, which sits up by the display on the wall, is connected to the transmitter over that single category cable like we've seen before. And in this instance, I'm going to be able to pass bidirectional USB commands back and forth between the transmitter and the receiver. This allows me to put a USB or a series of USB microphones on the conference room table so I can pick up everybody's voice. It also allows me to mount a USB camera at the front of the room so that everyone can participate in the video conference, not just the people who are in front of the little tiny camera lens on my laptop. And it allows me to do other things. I can attach a keyboard and a mouse, control a separate PC in the room if I want. Even in education applications, pardon me, I could attach a smart board, right? These are USB based. So now the presenter has control of that smart board at the front of the room as well. So it's another great way to use this. The HDVS 300 is about half the cost or more, or less I should say, of traditional codec-based solutions. So this is a great way to allow your customers to save some money, increase functionality, and be able to use that investment they've already made in products like Skype and their laptops and those presenters who are in the room. All right, switch gears a little bit. We'll talk now about some of our conventional switchers. These 4 should, if you've been selling Atlona, should look familiar to you. These are part of our SW5 series. This just means these are 5 input switchers. These typically will all have one HDMI output. Some of them will have a mirrored HD-based output with it, so you can have 2 displays connected to it. There's a number of different solutions here. We're not going to go through every single one of these. Just know there's a bunch of them. Then what I would like to talk about is the SW5000ED. This is one of our most popular switchers in the line because this switcher actually offers 2 HD-based direct inputs. Notice inputs number 1 and 2. So I can take 2 of those HDVS transmitters that we saw earlier, whether it's the box or the wall plate version, connect them right to this device with a single category cable. That gives me more inputs, gives me functionality at the presenter's location. And this device will power that transmitter over that Ethernet cable, so I don't need to have an extra power located at the presenter's location for that. And it's got dual outputs, one HDMI, one HDVS output. Now again, think back to that interoperability table I showed you earlier. Pick any input you want. SW5000 is the core solution. Mirror this up with any output I need, an audio amplifier, a HDVS receiver for the display, and now any control system I want. This would be a perfect product to use with the ANC 108, a simple 8-button control. Very high functionality, very low cost. Now you have an extremely complete and functional system for your customer, easy to use for anyone who walks into the room. Here's a quick look at that tied together with a number of components. Here's a typical room I would use. The core solution is the SW5000 ED. I can tuck that away inside a cabinet if I want and put the HDVS TX at the table, the receiver up behind the display, and a small 8-button keypad built into the wall or a tabletop stand if I want. Here's another solution from the SW series. This is the SW510W. W stands for wireless. This is our first wireless receiver piece. This will begin shipping in September of this year. It will be showcased at Infocom and CEDIA. If you're attending either of the trade shows this year, you can come see this firsthand working. This offers several new features. Number one, it has a USB-C input on it. Try to buy a laptop today from Lenovo or Apple without a USB-C on it. Right? We think that's going to be a very popular connector. It also offers DisplayPort input, dual HDMI inputs, and on the output side, you've got two outputs, one with HDMI and one HDVS. This device also will allow devices to connect via Wi-Fi. Let me advance the slide here too so you can see the interoperability of this product. So now any Apple device, any Android device, or any streaming device using Chromecast or Miracast will be able to connect directly to this box. The user in the room does not need to download an app to interface with this box. Your mobile devices will natively be ready to go and connect right to this box. This box also will have a Wi-Fi router built into it. You can turn that Wi-Fi router on, giving it its own unique internet for customers in the room to directly connect wirelessly right to this box. This box can be connected to the corporate network. You can log into the corporate network and get to this box if you choose to. If not, you can segment this from the corporate network and not allow anyone to access the corporate network. Security was at the front of our mind when we built this box. We wanted to make sure it was very secure, and it is. It's even designed with you can turn on a feature that allows the password to reset every time somebody disconnects from this box. So a second presenter would have to be present in the room to get the new password to connect to that box so somebody couldn't hack in from outside. This also is built with a trigger. Let me go back one slide and see if there's a bigger picture here. Looking at the back of this device, these three Phoenix connectors, these three green blocks on the back side, you've got a relay connector on there. You've got an I/O trigger and an RS-232. The I/O trigger can be used for something like an occupancy sensor. So you could place a sensor in the room when somebody walks in. That sensor senses presence of someone in the room, tells this device, hey, turn on, get the screen and the audio ready to go. This box even has a little memory slot built into it so you can load a splash screen or a logo into it. So when it automatically turns on, maybe by default it loads the corporate logo of this company up onto the screen. Then when somebody connects their device, their source comes up on the screen. So that's the SW510W. That will be shipping in September of this year. Watch for that. I'm sure AllNet will be at the top of the list looking to get demos of this and have this at their store, so maybe you can be able to stop in there and see that. So we've looked at a number of different solutions, but you're still not happy. You say, Ken, this is great, but we've got some more advanced conference rooms that we've got to do than just HDVS and the switcher. What else can you offer me? Well, I've got just the thing. It's our CLSO line of switcher scalers. CLSO stands for Classroom Small Office, and these were designed specifically for conference rooms and classrooms where you need a little bit more power than what you've just seen on some of our entry and mid-level pieces. So there are actually 4 products in the CLSO category. They start with the 601. Notice these are a little bigger. They're a full rack width wide, 1 rack unit tall. The 601 will offer you 4 HDMI inputs, 2 VGA inputs, analog audio inputs. It has a 4K scaler built into it. You can upscale to 4K. You can downscale from 4K. This is not really designed for a home theater environment, so I wouldn't suggest using this as a 4K scaler for home theater, but if you did have 4K devices in a conference room, it would work just fine in that application. You've also got microphone input built into this, so you can connect microphone to this. You've got advanced control features like volume control for microphone ducking built in, so if there's background audio, that will cut out when the microphone comes on. And you've got audio de-embedding built into this device so that you can take audio out to a separate in-room amplifier as well. All right, and again, this fits in with that interoperability chart, so you can pair this up with any of the HDBaseT outputs to go out to your display or use with our audio devices. And with the velocity control system that I'll show you in just a little bit, you'll be able to fully control this from a nice touchscreen display that you create. Second product is the 612ED. All the features that you just saw on the 601, with the addition of, notice the inputs on the back, 2 HDBaseT direct inputs on this device. This means now I can locate 2 HDVS, I'm sorry, 2 HDBaseT inputs, I might have said HDVS inputs, 2 HDBaseT inputs, so I can locate 2 HDVS transmitters at presenter locations, connect them via single category cable back to this device, which is in a rack or a cabinet out of sight, and the presenter has control from your HDVS device right through the 612ED. Next is the CLSO 824. So in the previous two devices, you had a single HDMI output with a mirrored HDBaseT output. So one local display, one display located a little further away, both showing the same source. With the 824, I have a couple things that change. Number one, I get one more additional HDBaseT input. So now I can have multiple HDBaseT locations to present from. I still have 4 HDMI inputs. I've got 1 VGA input. There's analog audio. There's control for 2 microphones to be connected to this box. And on the output side, I have 2 HDMI outputs. Those are matrixed, meaning I can have both outputs showing a different source at the same time. And each HDMI output has beside it a mirrored HDBaseT output. So I can actually have 4 displays connected and up to 2 sources live at any one time. So that's the CLSO 824. It works with all the different Atlona pieces as well. And again, if you tie this into the velocity control system, you have an amazing control program to be able to operate and run this device. Now, where would you use a product like this with matrixed output? Number one, in a large conference room where I've got multiple displays, or maybe I will need a confidence monitor for the presenter to also be able to see as they're presenting. And in addition, you might use this in video capture applications. You might use this in video conference applications, or you could use this in a split room applications. In other words, I got a divisible wall. Sometimes this is 2 separate rooms. Sometimes it's 1 large room. So lots of different ways to use the 824. And then stepping up 1 level from the 824, earlier this year we released the CLSO 840, which gives even more matrixed video outputs. This now has 4 matrixed video outputs, so I can have 4 different sources live at any one time. Again, if I'm doing something like a large conference room or a government application, like a courtroom, or if I've got a hotel application with a ballroom with multiple divisible rooms in it, this becomes the ideal application, the ideal solution for that application. Also note, worthy of noting, a feature that a lot of people have asked for on our matrix switchers, our Pro 3 matrix switchers, was independent audio matrix routing. That has been addressed with the CLSO 840. So this product also has independent audio routing, audio matrix, independent of the video matrix. So that's something unique that's different from some of the other Atlona products. All right, and to wrap up, let's take a look at control. You've seen this image on a few of my slides already. This is the ANC 108D. It's an 8-button network keypad for controlling Atlona systems. Now, keep in mind, this keypad only works with the single output products. So the matrix products, you would not use this for. The 824, the 840, you're going to use the Velocity, which I'll talk about in a moment. But for everything else, you can use the 8-button keypad. This fits into a single 1-gang US box. It has a Decora trim ring that goes on it. And the connection to this box is a single category cable. This is going to feed back to your network switch. All of the Atlona products, the solutions you've seen in my presentation, have an Ethernet port. They all sit on the network so you can control everything via IP. The network switch should be PoE. It will power this keypad. And to program it, you'll download our AMS software onto your laptop, specify which Atlona switch that you're using, and that will automatically load in the commands you need to program the 8 buttons on this keypad. You specify where you want them to go, download it to the keypad, and you're done. It's that simple. No special programming certification or tools that you need to do. You can watch one of our videos online or go through the Atlona Academy programming. It'll show you very simply how to do this, and you're ready to go up and running. This also ships with installer customizable pre-cut label sheets, so it's very easy to label those buttons right in the job site. Next product is something called Velocity. Again, this is something that will be shown live at Infocom and CEDIA this year. This product will become available in mid to late June. And Velocity is a cloud-based control system for Atlona and all other third-party control systems. This is a full end-to-end control program from Atlona that you can set up and install for your customers, and they'll be able to control and operate all of the products in their conference room solution. There's 3 parts to this. The first is the Velocity Control Suite. This is the cloud-based control application from which you will load your control page. You'll see all of the Atlona and third-party devices. You'll program them all. You'll create your interface to operate everything, and you'll download that into whichever type of mobile tablet device your customer wants to use to control their system. The second piece is the Velocity Control Gateway. This is a small computer that you'll purchase from Atlona or from AllNet that sits at the location, the customer's location, and it holds all of the programming code and sends out all the IP commands to control all the devices in this application. And the third part is the Velocity touch panels. Now, Atlona will offer a 5.5 and an 8-inch display panel that you can purchase for your customers to use. In addition to that, you can buy licenses to allow other devices to have access to this programming code so that the interface can be loaded onto their mobile device. It can be even pulled up through a web browser. And it's very simple to use for the end user to use and to operate. Very simple for an installer to put this together. Training classes can be done online. They do not take very long. In fact, I'll tell you, we showed this product at ISE in Amsterdam. That's the European trade show earlier this year. We set up 2 different switchers with 5 different sources networked through 2 different combinations of switchers to 2 different inputs on a single display. That's a fairly complicated installation, particularly for an end user to come in and figure out how to get their source up onto the display. We had this live at a kiosk in the booth, and we brought customers up who have never programmed Velocity before, gave them a 5-minute demo, and after that, they were able to program that demo live on the show floor and have a working system. It's extremely easy to use. We have a very robust database of commands. This product is designed specifically for the light commercial control space. It's really not at this point in time, it's not a control program for the residential space so much, but down the road it will be. But for right now, it's an ideal product for those conference room and classroom applications when you want a nice, robust control system from one-stop shop at Atlona, get your complete solution, and be able to control all the third-party products in that installation as well. take a look at velocity. This is live on the Atlona.com website right now. You can read more about it out there. And then watch for, beginning in June, this product to go live and for our monthly webinars from Atlona. Education webinars on how to program this will run every Friday starting in June. All right, we touched on it earlier, but it's real important, so let me bring it back up once again at AtlonaAcademy.com. Jump out there. If you're not registered for it yet, register. There are over 100 videos to watch. I like to tell people, take one of our subject matter experts into the field with you. You can load all of our videos from a mobile device. If you're standing on a ladder trying to program something, you're behind a rack, it's easy to pull up one of our videos to remind yourself how something works within Atlona. And if you have any questions at all at any time, you can always send email to tss@atlona.com. There's that phone number I mentioned earlier if you're looking for some design assistance from Atlona. If you have suggestions on our product line, send those to ideas@atlona.com. Or as always, reach out to the folks at AllNet. They know our product better than anybody. They've been through all of our courses. They've used everything that I've talked about in this presentation today, and they are a great resource as well. One other thing that I will mention real quick, starting next Monday, Atlona goes live with a brand new Atlona.com website. So all of the great features that you love from our old website will still be there, plus a whole bunch of new stuff. It'll have a little bit of a new look and feel, lots of new ways to reach out to Atlona, lots of new resources on the site as well. And you'll see that AtlonaAcademy.com, which was a separate site, becomes integrated directly into the Atlona.com site. The Atlona Academy URL still works. So look for that next week as well. With that, Bill, let me turn this back over to you, or if anyone has questions, I'll hang out for a little bit and we can answer some of those.
When signing up for Atlona Academy, do we need a code or password to sign up?
No, you do not. You can go right online and sign up right there. Keep in mind, it sometimes can take up to 24 hours to get your login and ID. Because the way that works, once you register, your request goes to our training team who takes a look. We look at all the registrations that come in, just so that, for example, one of our competitors doesn't create an ID and tries to log into our education site. We like to keep it private for just our partners. So we do check all those IDs, so it can take up to 24 hours to get a response. What
do we enter as the relationship at Atlona trying to sign up?
Yeah, it just depends on if you purchase through AllNet. I believe there's a category on there for purchasing through distribution. Direct dealers can sign up as direct dealers. If you have any confusion, you can just email training@atlona.com. Or you just register, and then send an email to training@atlona.com. Say, hey, I signed myself up based on this category. I'm not sure that's correct, and one of our team will respond back and help you out.
Hey, Ken, this is Rick Murphy. I've got a question about the wireless piece that you said is coming out soon. Yeah. So, what can we expect the range to be, and what factors should someone consider when they're designing using that wireless piece that could affect the range?
Obviously, because you're going to have a Wi-Fi router built directly into it, you're going to want to, if you're turning that on and using it, you definitely want it probably in the room, so that you're close to the range. The range on it, without looking up the spec, because I forget, I want to say it's about 20 to 30 meters is the range on that. And tucking it away in a cabinet, probably not going to hurt it, but tucking it away, in a metal box somewhere far away, it's pretty much the same principle you would follow with any router. It's got two antennas that stick off the back of it. The more accessible those are and closer to the presenter, the better the signal is going to be. So I would definitely try to keep it in the room. In other words, if I had an equipment rack down the hall, 300 feet away, I might not put this presentation switch in that rack. I might try to find a way to locate it in the room instead.
Okay. Also, thanks for addressing that.
Yeah. The other thing you can do, though, while this does have a router built into it, you don't necessarily have to use that router. Let's say the company has Wi-Fi in the building, and they would rather have you access their their Wi-Fi, go through their sign-on and security process, and then after you're connected there, you get access to the router. That's fine. You can absolutely do that. That router can sit on the network. There's an Ethernet port on the back of it, and through their network, you can, a set of router switches, you can simply route the traffic to that box in the room.
Is the Omni 232 with Dante available now?
So not just yet. I believe it should be available also in June or even in May. But the dual stream encoder and the dual stream decoder are the only two OmniStream products that are currently shipping right now. In about a month, the single stream units and the standalone Dante unit will begin shipping as well.
I guess I have one more question about the inclusion of USB-C. Will we be extracting video from the USB-C as well on that device?
Yes, you will. You'll be able to use USB-C as a video input as well. And in addition to that, the USB-C port will also provide a little bit of power back. So technically, if someone's laptop was connected to it, it's not a huge flow of power coming out of that, so it might not fully charge their laptop, but certainly while they're presenting, they won't lose any power, and they'll be able to, as I said, take the video feed right to that USB-C port.
All right. Well, with that, if there's no other questions, I guess we'll end the session. Ken, I just want to say thanks again for doing this, and I look forward to having you back very soon.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate all that and putting this webinar together. And thank you all for joining us today. Everyone have a great week.